Hey guys, welcome to my channel, Sengupta's Creation. I'm Yona Sengupta, your host and your coach, and today we'll be doing the question and answers of first chapter of physics, which is democracy. So let us quickly start. Let me quickly share the screen for you all. Yes, so I hope you all can see this, right? Okay, so we will quickly start. So the first question here is that here is some information about four countries. Based on these information, how would you classify each of these countries? Right? Democracy, undemocratic, or not sure against each of these. So we will quickly start with the first one. So the first one is written: people who do not accept the country's official religion do not have a right to vote. This is absolutely undemocratic. This is undemocratic. Next, this country B, the same party has been winning elections for the last 20 years. Now, this is not really surety, because in India, what happens, I'll tell you. In India, we vote for the leaders who stand in the election, right? They We vote for the election, and uh, might be, for example, I'll give you example. For example, you are standing against me in the election, and now people are voting me, not you. Now, in 20 years, we have been winning. 20 years, people have been supporting me, not you, not your party, but us, our party, for 20 years or 22 years, many years, or some consecutively years. But this may also have that the winning party may not always be winning by, safe measures. Like they have been using money, laundering, and many more to win, right? So again, what is democracy? So democracy is better than other forms of government because it allows us to correct its own mistake. Or in other words, in simple definition, you can write that democracy is a form of government in which the rulers are elected by the people. We are elected, I am elected by the people. But what happens if I use unfair means to win? Then it's not like democracy. So we are not here really sure if it's democratic or undemocratic. So let's write not sure. Okay. Now country C. Okay, wait a minute, just a second. Okay. Okay. Next, what we here have is that country C. Now, country C has been ruling. The ruling party has lost in the last three elections. Now, the ruling party has lost in the last three elections. That means it is absolutely democratic. It is absolutely democratic. Let me write democratic. Why democratic here? Why it can be written democratic and not undemocratic? Because that means 3 years to or to 4 years a party was ruling, but then another powerful party who can convince people that yes I that particular party can do the or fill up the needs of the common people, so they are winning. So it's always a democratic country, or it is democracy, you can say. Next, country D. There is no independent election commission. There is no independent election commission, and this is absolutely undemocratic. It is absolutely undemocratic. Okay, why undemocratic? Because the election commission is the commission which sees the overall of the votes that we have been giving to the leaders we like, that we think that can fill our needs. So that is why. Okay, but if there is no independent commission, and you if you can just give money to them and win votes, then there is no independence. Independent, it is not an independent election commission. So that's why it is undemocratic. Okay, so next, number 2, let's move on. Okay, number 2, here is some information about 4 countries. Based on this information, how would you classify each of these countries? Right, democratic, undemocratic, or not sure against each of these? So let us quickly start. Okay, so the first one, I hope you can see. Here it is written that country P. Now, country P is written that the parliament cannot pass a law about the army without the consent of the chief army. This is absolutely undemocratic. It is absolutely undemocratic. Why? Now, the parliament cannot pass a law about the army without the consent of the chief army. In this chapter, the first chapter of civics, which is what is democracy, why democracy, there is a story. Have you read it? There is a story of that the about ZANU PF of Zimbabwe. It is a very good example for this, because in this what happened, it was ruled by Robert Mugabe, right? Yes, are you understanding? Tell me in the chat box. Yes. So in this, what happened was that President Mugabe was very popular. But what he did was he was winning, or he used unfair practices in elections. So over the years, as you can see, over the years, his government change the constitution several times to increase the power of president and make him less accountable, right? So what happens, opposition party workers were also harassed and meeting were disrupted. So public protests against the government were declared illegal, right? So there was a law that limited the right to criticize the president, and television and radio were controlled by the government and gave only the ruling party's version. There were independent newspapers, but the government harassed those journalists who went against it. So the government ignored some court judgments that went against it and pressured judges. He was forced out of police in 2017. So this was an example that I gave you for this statement that the parliament cannot pass a law about the army without the consent of the chief of army. So this example of Zimbabwe shows that the popular approval of the rulers is necessary in a democracy, but it is not sufficient. Popular governments can be undemocratic. Popular leaders can be autocratic. If we wish to assess a democracy, it is important to look at the elections, but it is equally important to look before and after the elections. There should be sufficient room for normal political activity, including political opposition in the period before elections. So this requires that the state should respect some basic rights of the citizen. So they should be free to think, to have opinions, to express their or these in public, to form associations, to protest and take other political actions. So what we are saying is that everyone should be equal in the eyes of law, and these rights must be protected by an independent judiciary whose orders are obeyed by everyone. So till here you can say that till here we will be understanding, because we will understanding more about this in chapter 5. Okay, what do we have in chapter 5? Can you tell me all? Okay, so we have in chapter 5 we have the democratic rights. There we will read thoroughly about the democratic rights, the people's rights, and many more, right? Next, so but this means, what is the full final feature of democracy? The fourth feature of democracy, it is that a democratic government rules within limits and set by the constitutional laws and citizens rights. So this is what we are going to tell. So in number 2a, the parliament cannot pass a law about the army without the consent of the chief of army. So it is obviously undemocratic. Now next is country Q. Okay, the parliament cannot pass a law reducing the powers of the judiciary. So you can say that it is absolutely democratic. Okay, this we just read, so I'm not explaining again. Next is that the country R, the country's leaders cannot sign any treaty with another country without taking permission from its neighboring countries. So this is very much undemocratic. This is this is undemocratic. because you can see that a democratic government is a better government because it is a more accountable form of government. So thus democracy improves the quality of decision making. Next, number D is all the major economic decisions about the country are taken by officials of the central bank, which the ministers cannot change. So this is absolutely undemocratic. Undemocratic. Why it is undemocratic? Because all the about the country are obviously taken by the officials of the central bank, but why can't the ministers change it? Ministers should have some rights in there, so it is obviously undemocratic. Okay, next, now we will be moving on to number 3. This is a very good question. Which of these is not a good argument in the favor of democracy, and why? So the first option is people feel free and equal in a democracy. It is a good thing that people should feel free, equal. Equality should be there among people in a democracy, right? So this can't be the option. Sorry. So this can't be the option. Next, number B is democracies resolve conflicts in a better way. Now, yes, democracies should resolve conflicts in a better way, always should find better ways to find or to resolve the conflicts in others. So this also can't be. Next, number C is democratic government is more accountable to the people. Yes, what I just now told you about the democratic government, that a democratic government is a better government because it is more accountable form of government, right? So the you can say I give you an example in number 3C, that the China's famine of 1958 to 1961. What happened? That was the worst recorded famine in the world history, because nearly 3 crore people died in this famine. And during those days, India's economic condition was not much better than China. So, yet what happened? India did not have a famine of the kind that China had. So, but what does people think? Economics thinks. So economists think that it this was the result of different government policies in the two countries. Okay, so you can say that the existence of democracy in India made the India government respond to food scarcity in a way that the Chinese government did not. So you see, the democratic government is more accountable to the people. So this example brings out one of the reasons why democracy is considered the best form of government, and democracy is better than any other form of government in responding to the needs of the people. So a non-democratic government may and can respond to the people's needs, but what happens? It all depends on the wishes of the people who rule. So if the rulers don't want to, they don't have to act according to the wishes of the people. So democracy requires that the rulers have to attend to the needs of the people. So again, so we have the final conclusion that democratic government is a better government because it is a more accountable form of government. Okay, so these three are right, but the question is which is not, which is not. So the answer is Very easy. Okay. So the answer is very easy here. So the answer will be obviously D. D. Okay, let me underline it if you want. Okay, so the answer is D. But there in the question it is written Y also. So I will be telling you the answer. You may just write the answers there because I will not be dictating, or you can just mark the points and then write. So you can say that democracies are more prosperous than others is not a good argument in favor of democracy, because there are examples of countries being democratic but not as prosperous as other countries which are not democratic. So democracy means that the normal citizen of the country is involved in the decision making process and electing the leaders. It does not necessarily guarantee prosperity, as there are other factors like geography, economic capacity, government policies, human resources, mineral resources, and etc. etc. So this is the answer. Next. So till number 3 we have done. Now if you have any questions, I will be waiting for 2 minutes. You can tell me. Okay, so you have no questions. Let's move on to the next questions, which is number 4. Which is number 4. Okay, we have the question here. So here it says that each of these statements contains a democratic and undemocratic element. Write out the two separately for each statement. So the first statement here given is that number A, 4A, is a minister said that some laws have to be passed by the parliament in order to conform to the regulations decided by the World Trade Organization, which is the WTO, right? So you can say that the democratic element here is that a minister has said that some laws have to be passed by the by to the parliament, and undemocratic element conform to the regulation decided by the World Trade Organization, right? So you see there is the undemocratic and democratic element. So let's write it down quickly. We have space here. So this is number 4. So here we are. Next is number B. Next is number B. Number B says that the commission ordered repolling in a constituency where large-scale rigging was reported. So the democratic element in this statement is that the election commission ordered repolling in a constituency. This is a democratic element, but the undemocratic element is that large scale rigging was reported. Here, large scale rigging was reported. So it is as the answer. So we have here again. Next is number C. Number C is women's representation in the parliament has barely reached uh, 10%. So this leads women's organizations to demand one-third seats for women, right? So here it says the democratic element is that the women's organizations demand one-third seats for women, but the undemocratic element is that women's representation in parliament has barely reached 10%. This was number B. Now number C. Okay. So we have already done number 4. Now let's continue with number 5. Okay. In number 5, it is written that we have to tell which of these is not a valid reason for arguing that there is a lesser possibility of feminine or in a democratic country. So the first one, the option A, says that opposition parties can draw attention to hunger and starvation. This is a very valid reason for lesser possibility. Next is free press can report suffering from feminine in different parts of the country. This is very good reason because this is a very good reason for arguing it least, and there is very less possibility. And number C is government fears its defeat in the next elections. In this, what happens, obviously every leader will fear that I will be going out from the this election and I want to win the next election. Now number D is people are free to believe in and practice any religion. This is not a very, you know, very valid reason, I would say. This would be a very valid reason, I would say, because see, people are this statement this statement that people are free to believe in and practice any religion is not a valid reason for arguing that there is a very lesser possibility of feminine in the democratic country. So the answer is D. Now, next we will be moving on to number 6. So, what is number 6 about? Number 6 is about there are 40 villages in a district where the government has made no provision for drinking water. These villages made and considered many methods of forcing the government to respond to their need. Which of these is not a democratic method? First is filing a case in the courts claiming that water is part of the right to live or right to life. It is absolutely correct. You can go by law to case the file. Next, boycotting the next elections to give a message to all the parties. Yes, this is absolutely okay. You can. You are like, elections are for above 18 who are adults already. You have your own rights. You can give the votes if you want. If you don't want, then don't. Okay. Next, number C is organizing public meetings uh, against the government's policies. Mm, yeah, you can do that. We see in the roads, we see andolon and all these, so march past. Why do we see that? Because they are against this, against the government policies, a few policies, and these organize a public meetings. Now, number D is paying money to the government officials to get water. No, it is a very, very wrong thing. It has like it is done by unfair means. You should not bribe the government officials to get water. So the correct answer the correct answer is number D, paying money to the government officials to get water. This is a very wrong method. This is not a democratic method. Okay, next is number 7. So it is said that write a response to the following arguments against democracy. So first is that the army is the most disciplined and corruption free organization in the country. Therefore, the army should be ruled the country. I would say this is against democracy. This is undemocratic. Why? Because yes, it is very much true that the army is a disciplined organization. But however, it is very unfair if an army rules, as the army was not chosen by the citizens, and hence it will be an undemocratic practice. Right? It will be an undemocratic practice. So let me write it down here. Number 7. 7A. Okay. Okay, next is number B. Rule of the majority means that the rule of ignorant people. What we need is the rule of the wise, even if they are in small numbers. This is not really against the democracy. Is, uh, it is, for the democracy. Okay. So the answer will be that the rule of the majority is not a rule of the ignorant people. So wisdom is subjective, and the government is run by the people who know law and order. So this is obviously democratic. Okay, next is number C here. Number C says that if we want religious leaders to guide us in the spiritual path or in spiritual matters, why not invite them to guide us in the politics as well, and the country should be ruled by religious leaders? This is, I would say, religion and politics are very two different things. While religion can guide someone towards religious affairs, it cannot be guided anyone for politics, which is an important segment for the of a nation. So it is very much und democratic, undemocratic. It can be used. This argument, especially, can be used as an argument. Okay. Next is number 8. In number 8, what is it written? In number 8, it is written, are the following statements in keeping with democracy as a value, and why? So you can say the first one is that A is the father to a daughter is saying that I don't want to hear your opinion about your marriage. In our family, children marry where the parents tell them to. Now, this statement does not keep with democracy as a value, as the daughter is not allowed to express her opinion. So, here we have again another. Just a second. Okay, this is number 8. Okay, next is number B. In number B, it says that a teacher to a student says that don't disturb my concentration by asking me questions in the classroom. Even in my school, uh, it happens very much that don't ask questions my or disturb my concentration while I'm teaching in the classroom by asking me questions. This statement also doesn't keep with the democracy as a value, where as students are not even allowed to ask questions, which is their right, which is our right, right? So this is the answer. This is the answer. Next is number C. Employee to the officer says that our working hours must be reduced according to law. Now, this statement keeps with the democracy as law, as employee voices his opinions for his right under the law. He doesn't do any thing with unfair means, really. So, this is the answer. I hope you can see this. Next is number 9. What is number 9 saying? Number 9 is saying that consider the following facts about a country and decide if you would call it democracy. Now give reasons to support your decision. So the first one, it says that all the citizens of the country have the right to vote, and elections are held regularly. And elections are held regularly. So why not? So from this statement, what happens that we can understand that a democratic it is a democratic country democratic country. So next one, number B, is that the country took loans from international agencies, as one of the conditions for giving loan was that the government would reduce its expenses on education and health. So you can say, while taking a loan from international agencies, the country is promising uh, on the welfare of the people by reducing their expenditure on education and health, which is totally undemocratic. At least I would say that. Next, next is about number C, that is given. People speak more than seven languages, but education is available only in one language. The language spoken by 52% people of that country. So you can say that the provision of making education accessible in only one language is undemocratic. It is the fundamental right for people to have education, and it is the government's duties to provide them in the language they know, right? So let me write down this three. This is number 9. Okay, let me rub this part. So again, if you want me to repeat, number C is that the provision of making education accessible in only one language is undemocratic, and it is the fundamental right for the people to have an education, and it is the government's duty to produce or provide them in the language they know. Numelipo 3C, this is. Okay, next is number D. What does number D say? Number okay. Number D Number D says several organizations have given a call for the peaceful demonstrations of and national wide strikes in the country to oppose these policies. So you can see that government has arrested these leaders. Now, so to the right to assemble and peacefully demonstrate is the basic right of an individual. So hence arresting the protesters is very much undemocratic. It is undemocratic. Okay, next, not last but not the least, it is number E. So it says that the government owns the radio and television in the country, and all the newspapers have to get permission from the government to publish any news about the government's policies and protests. So for this, we can say that when the government owns the radio and the television, it is debarring people from availing their right to free press. So it is also undemocratic. Okay, so I think I have already done this part. Okay, so we have already done these question and answers. So we have ended it already. Now I will show you again these. If you want, you can take a screenshots of all these. Okay, so exercise. This is number one. Yes, one, two, three. This is number four. This is number four. Next, we have number five, which is number here will be option D, six will be D. Now, seven is this answer, the pink one. Number eight is the purple one. Number nine is the yellow one from these boxes. So, I hope you can see we have already finished. So, we have already finished. So, thank you very, very much. So now I will stop screen sharing. Thank you very, very much. Have a nice day. Thank you. Bye bye. And if you like my videos, please like and subscribe my channel and hit the bell icon so that whenever I'm online, you can get the notifications and learn with me. So thank you and have a nice day. We will meet again in our next class.